We just
I
talk about
am
random shit.
always down to bullshit.
Yeah.
See,
It's
there
mostly
we
that
go.
don't wanna-
Welcome to
we
the
don't wanna
Required
talk
Podcast,
over-
episode 21.
Oh shit, he's
I'm
recording.
CR. Or Brandon, rather. Sorry. Fucking Jesus Christ.
That's our season host, Brandon, console required on Twitter. I'm Chimaera.
I'm Ethan, also known as Gelf.
And I am CJ, also known as Azrael.
Stumble intro. Fucking nailed it. Keeping
Did it,
consistency.
flap.
22 episodes in. 21 episodes in. If you count
Nailed it.
0.5, whatever. Yeah.
I thought we agreed we weren't going to count the 0.5 episode because it was so bad.
Yeah, I've stopped. I was just for that one bit I had to. I fucking hate that episode.
Yeah. It's not the best. It does not spark joy.
See, that's my biggest worry because that's like the intro episode for people to like, because some people want to listen from the beginning to now, and that first episode when I even listen back to it, it's like we were fucking pure robots. Like it's just like, hello, welcome to the podcast. Like, oh Jesus.
Well, I mean, I can imagine it. There's a comfort level that just kind of evolves with,
Of course, yeah,
understanding that you're being listened to by a lot of people.
No, it was not even that. It's just like, getting used to, like, I can chat with my buddies all day long, but it's back then in the first few episodes, you could tell that we were trying to find stuff to talk about. And now it's like, oh God, we almost talked for 2 hours accidentally, and we didn't even touch on any topic that we even care about. It's just blah, 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 blah.
And somewhere about halfway to 3/4 through, somebody says, hey, we've been going for a while. And then everybody just kind of like, yeah, we should wrap up. Nah, well, here's another thing. Like, let's talk about this now.
Right.
I do have something super cool to start us off. So Tiffany and I went to a concert the other day, a few days ago. It's Thursday. There we go, 26th. And I honestly, okay, so I don't know if you guys know any of these bands, but I'm just going to kind of roll with it. So we had heard that the band Avatar was coming into town. It's a metal band. They're real theatrical. Really good shit. And I didn't even hear... Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, they put on a crazy show.
Yeah. And I didn't really pay attention to what other bands we were supposed to be listening to and until after the concert. Because mid-concert, they had said, I didn't catch the name of the band because it was so loud. We were up at the front, my ears were already blown, and this was towards the end of the show, but they're like, oh, so-and-so, we're taking a break, but we don't take breaks. And I figured out after the concert that we were actually supposed to see Baby Metal as well, because they had a concert in Kansas City, which I don't know if Azrael knows, but Megan Chimaera, I know you know. I don't know I think Gelf knows Megan.
Yeah,
anyway,
possibly.
Yeah, she went up to Kansas City to go see them, and she saw Baby Metal and Avatar. But I guess since they were taking a break, we got to see a French duo called the Inspector Clouseau, who was fucking phenomenal. Dude, the singer dude and the guy who plays guitar, like, it's a guitar and drum set. That's it. And he looks like a mad scientist, but he is a god on guitar, and his vocal range is fucking stupid, and that's all I've been listening to since then. I don't know what kind of genre it is, but it's real simple, but it's like one of those, he's one of those people that, like, and I'm just gonna put it like it is. Have you ever heard somebody make love to a guitar? Because that's exactly how he plays, and it's like, oh my god, he is so good. And so they were good. They played for about 30 minutes, and the setup between each band was like 30 minutes. So they set it for 30, they played for 30, and then this other band came out. It was another duo, and they were just called 68, like the year 68, like 1968. And yikes. It wasn't awful. It just wasn't my taste. It was I looked them up after the show. They were labeled as punk rock and noise metal. Ooh. And I mean, this guy was, so just imagine a more unhinged Beastie Boys, and that's what you get. I mean,
is that impossible?
I mean, this
metal is the jazz of metal. It's not usually, like the
dude,
the freeform jazz of metal.
I mean, like, the drums were great, and I didn't really like this band. And mind you, it's like an artist using the tools available, and I'm totally cool with it. I just didn't like the noise or the sound of it. But he, like, you know how you can use a mixer to record a sound and have it loop forever?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
he did that for majority of his song. I think about 85% of his song was of just loops, and he would clearly show it. I mean, he would hit a note on his guitar and like hit the pedal, and then he would just be flailing his guitar around stage. He literally threw it in the air 3 times while the drummer is just going ballistic, and his 3-note riff is continuing. And I don't know. After we saw that first set fucking completely shred on a guitar, and then I see this guy do 3 notes in constant looping, I just really wasn't impressed. And like, it's cool, he's doing his thing, and there were people in the crowd that specifically came for them, and it was cool. I was like, Tiffany was like, oh, they're all right, and I was like, yeah. I mean, they grew on me towards the end of their set. It was like, okay, I can see why people are into it. Again, I don't hate it, it's just not my thing.
It's less about the technical mastery of the guitar and more about the technical mastery of the looping.
Right.
And it can be done really, really well.
Right. Right.
I'm thinking of two particular examples. One was like a solo cover of a Daft Punk song off of Interstellar. And another one was a music video where the entire band like starts at the back of the stage and works their way forward as they build the next loop, and eventually they have the full song. It's just
That's pretty
I'll
cool.
see if I can find
That's
that. Yeah,
that would be sweet.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So some more context. Tiffany and I got there an hour before the doors open, and then once the doors open, it's an hour before the show starts. So we got there basically 2 hours early. We stood in line. We were like 10th in line. As soon as we got in, I told Tiffany, because we were like, oh, maybe we should buy like a drink or like buy some merch. And I just like, you know what? No, let's go straight to the floor so we can get like front row, because Tiffany really wants to see Avatar. That's her favorite band. And, they're from Sweden, and they stopped in fucking Wichita. And this is the first time they've ever been here. So I was like, no, we're going.
You're going to miss it. Yeah.
I was like, no, we're not buying anything. I was like, we're going to be thirsty anyway. Like, we're going to lose our voice. It's going to happen. Just go. And so we got front row, like front right corner. Like, we were up. I mean, we could reach out and touch their hands if we wanted, if they reached out, kind of thing. And mind you, it was at the Cotillion here in Wichita. And the Cotillion is not very big, but it was a perfect size show for what it was. And so yeah, those 2 duos played, and Avatar came out, and I have a whole bunch of pictures on my Twitter. I should have put them in the Discord so you guys can see them beforehand. But yeah,
no, I saw some of the stuff that you posted on Twitter, and also from Megan at the St. Louis show, and some really nice stuff.
Yeah, these dudes, like I said, they're super duper theatrical. Here, I know audio listeners are like, they can't see them, but if you go to my Twitter, twitter.com/controacquired, you can see whatever. But yeah, they it's a small stage, but it was great. I think they played like 2 songs that I didn't know, but they played basically a lot of the crowd favorites that everybody was really into. And I told Tiffany, I just wanted to play one specific song, and I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. And it's off their newest album. Again, I don't know if you guys even listen. One of the audio listeners might go, oh yeah, but it's called King After King. And man, as soon as I heard the intro for like a microsecond, my brain was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was just unbelievable. They threw picks and drumsticks in the crowd, and it was so funny because the show was open to all ages, and there was this dad who brought his 2 kids, and this girl was probably like 8, and she was sitting up like on the metal grating where we're all leaning up against. And so this is Tiffany's favorite band, and they're handing out shit after the show, and that little girl got 2 drumsticks and 2 guitar picks, and Tiffany was pissed because that girl stole all of her thunder. Like, I get it, it's a child at a show, but man, Tiffany was like, I was right there. Are you fucking kidding me? They threw a pick.
Love asshole.
Like Tanya Harding on her, just like, give me those, you little.
No, but it was a great show. We were there from 5 o'clock, and then we ended up leaving at 2 in the morning. But the show closed at like it probably closed around like 12:30, and Tiffany knew, like, you know, a friend of a friend, so we started talking with people inside the cotillion, like what the band, like if the band was coming out to like sign anything or you know, do any meet and greets, and they're like, no, well, I don't think the band's going to do anything. I haven't heard anything, so we're like, okay, and so we start heading out, and we buy some merch, or whatever. I got a shirt, we got a vinyl, some stickers. You know, we just kind of went all out because, again, Tiffany's favorite band and all that, and like they're not my favorite, but they're like top 3 easily, especially after that show. And yeah, so we walk out and we look to our right, and there's like maybe like 15 people gathered around this like fence. We're like, what the fuck's going on over there? So let's go over there. So we go over there, and we can see their tour bus, and we're like, and people are like, oh well, I don't know if they're coming out, but I'm just gonna wait here. I was like, okay, fuck it, Tiffany, let's just wait here, because you know we both have the day off the next day after, so we're like, yeah, fuck it. All of a sudden, fucking bassist comes out. Hey guys, how's it going? Blah blah, and just starts signing shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And then so he starts taking pictures, and well, actually Tiffany and I started the picture train because everyone was just getting signatures, and that was it. And I was just like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So we all started, like, we took pictures, and then everybody came back, started taking pictures with him.
Nice.
And then
that's awesome.
So a few of them don't speak English because they're from Sweden. I think the bassist speaks a little bit of English. The drummer doesn't speak any English, I don't think. And both guitarists both speak English pretty well because we chat with them for a little while. It's pretty cool. So the bassist, he leaves because everyone's done signing. Again, there's like a group of like 15, 20 people. So he leaves. Then we wait like 15 more minutes. And one of the guitarists comes out. And we're like, oh, fucking hell yeah. And it was really cool. His name's Tim. And he's surprisingly short. But he was right in front of us the whole time. Like, we were right where we were at. Like, that's where his stage position was. And so basically we were just, you know, all about him. Well, because I just love watching people, just the raw emotion on a guitar is just so fucking good. And we were chatting with him, and I was like, hey man, you were in our corner the whole night, blah blah. And he's like, that's great. He's like, but you know what, you were in my corner. He's like, I'm there every night. And I was like, oh shit.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool how he did that. I was like, all right, fair point. So yeah, we all had him sign our vinyl that we got, so that was pretty cool. It's of Avatar Country album. And so he leaves. About 10 minutes later, the other guitarist comes out. They have 2 guitarists, Tim and Jonas. And Jonas has like these dreads, and he's labeled as the king for Avatar Country. And he was really cool. We were chatting with him. Tiffany was chatting with him about music videos and like everything, and he was super into it, and that was really cool. So yeah, we got, and then he left after everyone got their signatures and shit. And then the drummer came out like maybe 20 minutes later. Like, we were all standing out there forever. And again, the drummer doesn't speak a lick of English, so basically you kind of have to just it's more about body language. He knows, like, okay, you're here to sign and take pictures and this and that, and they can tell when you're thanking them, sort of deal. But you can't just be like, hey, blah blah blah. I ask him questions because you just.
So he's basically just smiling and nodding, and waving.
Yes, that's exactly what was going on, and it was still cool.
You can ask them in Swedish.
Right, and then so we're waiting. It's been like 30 minutes after the drummer leaves. We're like, okay, and this is Tiffany's big moment. She wants to meet the singer, Johannes. Wants to fucking meet him. 30 minutes go by. Security comes up. Hey, it's getting late. You guys gotta leave. Oh fuck. Oh no. Like, we only have 4 signatures. Like, what the hell? And Tiffany's like, no, I'm not. She backs up a little bit. Like, we all kind of get out of the way because they're like, oh, the tour bus has to come this way, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay. So we step off to the side, and Tiffany's like, no, I'm not fucking leaving. I came here to meet Johannes. This is some bullshit. And I was like, I know, and we'll just hang out a little bit until they fucking like fully throw us out. So it was like me, Tiffany, and like this 18-year-old girl that her mom brought her from Colorado or something. They drove 4 hours, and we're all sitting there talking, and we stood there for like another 15 minutes, and then we see the security guard come up even further, and Tiffany's like, oh shit, here he comes. So I look up and he's like, "Hey, yeah, the tour bus won't leave until the entire parking lot's cleared out." And I was like, "Fuck, no!" I was like, "Dude, we need one more, just one more." That was it, and they fucking threw us out. So we got
Oh,
four.
that sucks.
Man.
Harsh.
I have never seen this with somebody in my entire life. On our drive back home, I felt so bad. Tiffany was destroyed. Her whole night, it was a great night. Like, she cried during the concert. She just had such a great time. And that single moment of not being able to meet, like, her absolute idol just shattered. I've never seen someone so shattered in my life. I felt so awful. It would basically be if I were to meet Metallica and, like, I didn't meet James Hetfield, but I met everybody else. I'd be like, fuck, man, like, fuck. It's I felt awful. But I mean, again, we slept on it. We got home at like fucking 2:30, 3 in the morning. We went immediately to bed. I woke up, I felt better about it. Like, I get it. And she's fine with it as well. But I mean, it was a great night. The bands were awesome. The band is super humble. They're so down to earth, very cool people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I've loved bands. Like, I have some favorite bands out there, but I've never really had that attachment to, like, I need to see them at this thing, and if I don't see this thing, then I'm going to cry, or like that. I'm not going to have that attachment completed or anything. Gelf, as have you ever had that?
Not really, but I'm also not like a live. Um,
Tiffany and
I
I
have
are
such
just music
strong.
freaks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
anyway, sorry,
I have
continue.
too much. I have too much like when there's too many people around me, I get overloaded and I don't like to be around crowds and things like that. And standing in line when it comes to getting signatures or getting photos or things like that, I don't really do that. Plus, I don't do live music because of my hearing. I can't hear. Everything
Oh,
just comes in real, real, real,
speaking of
and I don't
which,
hear anything. So,
I
yeah, right. Your tinnitus is acting up pretty crazy.
my ears are still ringing, and it has been 3 days.
Yeah.
Yikes.
it's
you
it's
might
real
want to get that
slight.
checked out, dude.
It's real slight now, but man, the first day after, I was like, I went to work and people were trying to talk to me. I was like, I am sorry, my hearing is like cut in half right now. I can't hear you. But
Yeah,
no, it's good.
I can't really do concerts anymore, the just because of the way my hearing. I spent so long in a fairly quiet environment. I got very, very used to low levels of sound.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
there are definitely times when I run into this problem when I'm bartending every once in a while. I had a little bit of it last night. We had a 300 person fundraising gala that I was bartending for, and the music, I mean, it just gets so loud, and you're especially when you're in a huge crowd of people, there's a lot of stuff reflecting that sound back at you. So when I hear really loud sounds, when you've been in submarine force for a long time, you associate loud sounds with alarms, and you associate
Yeah.
alarms obviously with really bad stuff. So it does tend to affect the way that super loud music and stuff like that will affect me.
Yeah, the
There are
thing.
specific earbuds or earplugs for concerts that filter out certain levels of sound. I know Az
Right.
got to try them at work for a little bit. And you said that they worked really well though.
Yeah, they worked excellent. I've got those now, and they work. So
Yeah,
I kind of wonder whether or not that would affect me going to a concert. I've definitely gone to a couple of concerts. I went to um an Atreyu concert in when I was in Virginia. That was a blast. It turns out that's actually um I was calling my uncle, Uncle Bill, and because I'd just come back from deployment. I'd gone out to this little place called Diego Garcia, which is the footprint of the world. It's out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's itty bitty tiny thing, like a little tiny a hole or atoll out in the middle of the water, right?
It's just the world's asshole.
The
It's fine.
the asshole of the world,
It's
yeah.
just as hot, actually, but yeah.
Right, exactly. But I came back from deployment, and my mom was like, "Hey, Uncle Bill helped build that place." I was like, "Awesome, give him a call." I hadn't talked to him in God 15 years, so I called him up, And this guy answers the phone, and he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" It's like I've heard of you. You're my cousin CJ. And I was like, it's like it's good to meet you. And he introduced himself as Brandon. And I started talking to him, and like we're talking about what we did, and I asked him what he did, and he goes, "It's like, well, I'm in a band." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Is anybody I've ever heard?" And he goes, "I don't know. You listen to rock?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You ever heard of Atreyu?" And "What, Brandon Saller? Like, you're Brandon Saller?" And he goes, "Yeah. Well, I guess you have heard of me." I was like, "Whoa!" So I was blown away. I had no idea. So I
That's
went back.
ridiculous.
I went back to my boat, and I started talking with some of the guys on my ship about it, and they were sitting there thinking that this was a sea story. You know, the whole every sea story begins with "I shit you not," which means that very very little of it is actually true. Um, but I was like, "Yeah, they're doing a concert here next month, and they're gonna give me some backstage passes. You guys wanna go? They're gonna reserve some tickets for me." And they're like, "We'll go to the concert, but I'm not counting on you getting backstage passes, you know?" And it wasn't until the day of the concert that I showed up, and I walked up to the guest booth and came back with tickets, and they were like, "Holy shit, how did you get those?" I was like, "I fucking told you, man." So So we ended up going back there and hanging out on the bus, and about 3 weeks later, we actually went to another one of their concerts, which was a big rock festival, and that was crazy cool. Five Finger Death Punch was there.
Dude, they're
Oh
so
shit.
good. I've seen them live too.
I love Five
Whew.
Finger Death. Those guys put on one hell of a show.
Yeah, they were here 4 years ago. Pretty good though.
Yeah, they are some seriously talented musicians. Very, very talented music. But what's
I think.
amazing about it,
Sorry, good.
but what's amazing about it is like these are the kind of guys when we first went backstage or we went back onto the bus. I was like most people, I think, in that I was expecting to go backstage and see what everybody expects to see: sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right?
Just
Just
dudes on couches eating chips. Hell yeah.
right. And we went back into the area when we went to the festival, the second concert that we went to. We went back to where the band's buses were, and we walked back there, and it was like there was no partying going on. It was like somebody had whipped out a grill, and
Oh
Five
my
Finger Death
god.
Punch was out there playing fucking wiffle ball between them. I was like, "What is this? Like, where are the groupies? There should be like 300 women around here right now."
Instead
But
of cans of beer, everybody's like, "Hey, you want a refill on your coffee? Yeah, bud."
yep, pretty much.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's
And
phenomenal.
I asked Brandon about that when I first no, when we first went on the bus, and I was like, "This is not what I expected." He's like, "Dude, we're all way outgrown that." Like all except for the guitarist, the lead guitarist. He was like, he's stuck in that one. He's stuck in that era still.
Yeah. Especially if they've been playing for a long time. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, they went on hiatus for a long time. They actually just started. They just got back together and started recording again.
Wait, hold on. Which band are we talking about?
Atreyu?
Oh, okay.
Or
I thought we were talking about Five Finger Death Punch. I was like, yeah, man, they got a new
Oh
album
no
coming
no no.
out. No, yeah. That's again, that's a band that it's not my favorite. It's just not my style. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I actually had something about. So we're in the concert. We listened to Inspector Clouseau, and then that band 68 that came on, that fucking wild. I tell you, I linked one of their like more normal songs in Discord, and it's still pretty wild. There was one guy in the crowd that was going fucking ballistic up front. He was the one guy who knew who they were. I mean, he was singing along. Good for him, right? He was freaking out, flailing. He was having a good time. And then when they got done, this is what blew my mind. So a lot of people, almost everyone there came for Avatar. And he goes, "Thank you guys so much for the great show. I'm leaving." And he fucking just turns around and leaves. And it's like, wait, what?
Wow.
And the people from 68 actually hung around after the show, and you could have met them. Like, that was his favorite band, and he fucking left after their set. I was like,
Wow.
what? Like, even even if it's a band that you don't like, I still find it a little disrespectful. I mean, I get it. You've paid your money. You can do as you please. But when he announced it just like that. Hey, guys. Hey, 68. Thanks for the concert. I love you guys. And he goes, I'm leaving. And he just fucking never saw him again. It's like, okay.
It's the same thing as coming into a stream and hanging out and then being like, oh, hey, this favorite streamer just showed up. Bye, guys.
That's exactly the same context. Yes.
Like the only bands or the only concerts I've ever been to are at least like standalone concerts. I went to Moody Blues when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I've already told you guys about that one. And then a few years ago, I was back in Minnesota, and my best friend in the entire world, Carla, I love her. I still love her. She's the person that we won't talk for like 2 or 3 years. I'll be back in Minnesota and she'll say, hey, let's go to Applebee's. Cool. And we will order the exact same thing as each other. You know,
Applebee's. That kind of, how Midwestern of you.
Hey, you know what? It's Minnesota. There's not a whole lot of options over there.
Yeah, I have one literally down the street from me, so you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it.
She got me tickets to Backstreet Boys, so we went to go see the Backstreet Boys. That was
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, does this count as a concert? So when my mom was pregnant with me, we went to a Scorpions concert. Does that count?
It counts. Oh fuck yeah, it's Scorpions, dude. Yes.
that counts.
Kitten is crying. Crying about what?
Well, how far along was she? That's the question. Had you formed ears?
I think I was at least past 6 months. I'll ask her. I'm kind of curious now.
It counts. It counts.
Should I call her and put her on speakerphone mid-podcast?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Sure.
You gotta
go nuts. Do it. Now you got to do it. And you know what? We'll just give ourselves like a few seconds of silence and we'll cut it out if it's terrible. It's fine.
I'm good. Exactly. I'm good. We'll continue. As an idea that everyone just fucking snapped at real quick. My
Look at who you've got.
Yeah. Yikes. Nah, you guys don't know my mother. That's the thing. It's not you guys. It's the other side. Sorry, Mom. I love you to death. I know you're never gonna listen to this podcast. You're fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm dropping shit all over my desk. Anyway.
Here I am.
Yeah, Scorpions. Not my. I'm so burnt out on them.
So you clearly do remember the concert. You've been inundated with them since before you were born.
Truth.
That has been in my blood.
When it comes to bands that I would love to see live, I mean, seeing Scorpions live would be awesome. I'd love to see UB40 live. Chimaera knows how much I love UB40. He'll actually link me their song. Do you know? No, what is their most popular one? Because I listen to too much of their other shit. Can't Help Falling in Love.
Yeah, Red Wine.
Red Wine, yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I did not know who they were until I met them.
So here's my thing, and because everyone's always like, "Oh, who do you want to go see in concert?" And you go, "Oh, I want mainstream band." Not to sound like a fucking hipster or anything, but there's a lot of bands that I want to see that I don't realize it yet. Like when we saw the Inspector Clouseau, I've never what? Where the fuck did you come from? France, obviously, he told us. But that dude was so fucking good. Like instant fan. I've been listening to him for the past 3 days straight. And I've been working like 10-hour days and shit like that. Like I'm all about it. That's why I want to, like, when we move to Austin and stuff, I want to just start hitting up clubs and stuff and just going and seeing live music.
Dude, this is the place to do it too. This is the live music capital of the
there's a lot of hidden gems out there that I really want to find. I'm so burnt out on, because our radio station here just plays the same fucking shit over and over and over and over. Same thing with just radio in general. Oh, I haven't listened to radio in
a long time ago.
Yeah, same. I mean, I have Spotify that runs just 24/7 it seems, but every time the one time I don't have it and I turn on the radio, it's just like, oh, you guys are still playing this shit. Like, fuck me. Like ratings are ratings, cool, but
yeah.
Do you at least get a good variety out in Wichita? I know you're not actually looking for it, but like, do you have a variety of stations available to you, or
we have we have T95, which is a rock station. We have the alternative rock station, and that's about it rock wise. We have way more country stations than we could possibly use. We have like 2, maybe 3 hip hop stations, and we have one station that just plays literally everything. But our rock station, basically, the hardest rock that they go is like Sad But True and Inner Sandman by Metallica. Like that's the hardest that they go. Like that's and that's like once a day kind of shit.
Commercially acceptable metal.
Right. And then like, they play like Stone Temple Pilots, Foo Fighters, some Nirvana, Hailstorm. They play a shit ton of Ozzy Osbourne, but then they just repeat it. It's just it's the same band. It's just the other song, and then next hour it'd be like, oh, we'll go back. It's just we hear Bark at the Moon probably 30 times a day, and it's just it is. AC/DC. I'm so fucking sick of hearing AC/DC. Jesus Christ.
It doesn't make them a bad band, just overplayed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. None of these bands are bad. I just fucking do. When you hear them for like the 30th time in like a week, you're like, oh okay.
Sure.
But I mean, bands, like you were saying, live music or whatever is a great way to discover new bands, But since I don't go to like music festivals or anything like that, the way I used to discover music was the radio. Well, then, like you said, it plays the same thing over and over again until there's another top 40 reset or whatnot, and then now I'm hearing half of the songs I was hearing last week and half that I'm going to be sick of in a week, stuff like that. Now with Pandora and stuff like that, I actually discovered a lot of bands and acts and whatnot that I like to listen to because of internet radio. But ironically, I found one of my favorite bands in the world, Assemblage 23, randomly on YouTube. Random YouTube link that I was Googling lyrics for a story because I wanted to listen to a song that would fit kind of the story I was writing. And one of their videos popped up and I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And, however many years later, I have his entire discography. Another one I was introduced through video games. Pilots. Jesus, you got me thinking about Stone Temple Pilots. Poets of the Fall from Max Payne and Alan Wake series, and now they're in Control, the new PS4 PC release. They're one of my favorite bands ever. They don't speak a bit of English, but every single one of their songs is in English because they got in with this I forget his name, but this video game writer producer early on, and they've done so much music for them. It's inflated their career. They're fantastic. They're loved, but they don't speak English. So, I don't have to interact with anybody on the forums. I can just get the freebies and get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think YouTube and Twitter have become my primary like music discovery tools at this point. Just by happenstance. Like I'm not actively looking for anything. It's just that's what I get.
Yeah, YouTube is my discovery tool in general. It's amazing what you can learn straight off.
I'm pretty sure that Az actually lives on YouTube. He's not actually a person. He's a projection of a digital device around him being
It's
like
very
from
possible.
YouTube.
I can understand that.
Every time I walk by, if he's not like actively engaged in conversation with someone, he's got YouTube open watching something.
My biggest issue with YouTube right now is the recommendation engine. Like it'll not only like sometimes it won't give you what you're actually subscribed to. So that's one thing because algorithm.
So
go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, please. We're saying words, Chimaera. You were saying words. Please continue saying words. Please continue saying words.
So you get the algorithm stuff, but then part of that is like, oh, you like this video, you'll like this video again and again and again.
Okay,
it's like
here we go.
I've already watched it twice.
Okay, my turn. No, yeah. So I've actually I watch YouTube fucking constantly. Basically, my media intake is so I wake up, listen to music through Spotify through my car on the way to work, headset at work all day, 8 to 10 hours, Spotify on the way home, Sometimes Spotify when I'm making food or, on the computer or whatever. And if I'm at my desk, I usually just watch YouTube. So like I have some form of noise. And so lately I've kind of burned through all my subscription stuff and like all the series that I want to watch and some tidbits here that I'm not subscribed to, but I like to kind of watch, but I don't want to be subscribed to. And I just realized this thing this morning where like my recommendations they've had like a nice little flow lately. And then all of a sudden I watch a single video. It's like 5 minutes of something else that has nothing to do with anything that I've been watching the past like year, and my recommendations went off the fucking deep end. And I was just like, here's this and this, and then, oh, you've been watching a lot of Markiplier today. Hey, why don't you watch that same video or series you watched fucking 8 years ago? It literally, look, I'm gonna go to my front page right now. I'm gonna see how many are a year plus.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Right now, just looking at mine, I've got one video from 2 years ago, which, to be fair, is relevant because part 2 of the game that this YouTuber, it's John Wolf, by the way. I'm just going to say that. He is hands down my favorite YouTuber. He's playing chapter 2 of a game called Home Sweet Home. Chapter 1 was 2 years ago. So that one I can understand. Fat Rat is a week ago, week, month, 4 years, 3 years, a month, 3 months, a week. 2 years, 2 years, yeah.
If I haven't seen it, that bothers me less. But what I keep getting is like I recently, kind of binged watched the Try Guys channel. And so now I keep getting Try Guys stuff, which is fine when it's fresh and it's new. But it's like, hey, watch this video again. Nah. Watch this video
if you
again.
just binged it, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
it doesn't know how to get out of its own rut sometimes.
See, like the YouTube recommendation engine goes into conniptions with mine because I look at so much varied stuff. I'll have a Gunpla, a Gunpla tutorial open, and then I'll go over to like a League of Legends Anthem music video, and then I'll go to like a YouTube tutorial, and then I'll be watching Fail Army. I mean, there's so many different directions that I go in. I think Google just went, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah, it for me it can turn into this self-generating perpetual rut, because like if for some reason like there's like a new forgotten weapons on YouTube, if there's a new video there, check that out, and then it's like, oh, you like that, well, go check out In Range, and then it just the autoplay takes over and it's like, oh, you watch this and watch this, and you fall asleep to it, and there's 73 videos that you happen to watch while you were asleep, and now those are all cataloged as like, oh, he watched this, let's give him more of that, and so it just kind of feeds that perpetual cycle.
I think the machine also thinks that it's if it can squeeze another view out of you, maybe even a minute, until you realize, oh, I've already seen this, then fuck yeah, it's gonna jump on that opportunity. Because I mean, again, it's recommending me shit that I've clearly seen, because we've been watching YouTube since I honestly can't even remember at this point. It's been like a decade, like. It's a
but that's exactly what I'm talking about, because
4 years ago. I mean, I have 3 on my front page that say 4 years ago. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But like, I don't see it so much on desktop, but on the phone, the videos that'll come up in like, here's what's recommended, it still has the red line because it's still in cache. Like, you completed this video on this device in the last 24 hours. Watch it again. Maybe not. So
I'll watch it again. There are some videos that I do like to watch again. Oh, hey, look, there's one 8 years ago. Great. Oh, 2 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there are definitely some videos that I'll watch over and over again. The Gelf knows one that I've been listening. Well, not necessarily watching, listening to over and over again. And it's the League of Legends Anthem Rise featuring
like a song?
Glitch Mob. Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
I'll link the video in general here. You guys can take a look at it. It is absolutely insane.
I've got an interesting example. Sorry to clear my throat. So there's this channel called Rage Orc, and they basically just do a bunch of like Hearthstone compilations. Because I used to play a lot of Hearthstone, and I watch a lot of Hearthstone now. And mind you, I was watching them when they first started, like episode 1, and now they're up to like episode 200 whatever. And so I'll kind of catch up. I won't catch up. I skip. I'm like, oh, there's like episode almost 300. Let's watch that one. And then it goes, oh, well, since you watched episode 300, and I'm shit you not, I'm gonna read it right here in front of me. Since you watched like episode 300 or whatever, would you like to watch episode 55 and 63 from 4 years ago? I'm like, why not go to like 220 or like a week back or 2 weeks back? Like fucking what the hell? And the thing is I've already seen those two in particular, so it could have recommended me 2 other videos that I have not seen that would have pushed me to actually throw my view somewhere.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense.
What's kind of ironic is you guys know listenonrepeat.com. It just automatically replays the video over and over and over and over and over again.
Wow.
I had 93 views on Despacito, the original one.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's the one with Justin Bieber.
No, God Christ. But I listened to it on repeat as kind of like a personal challenge, and I actually really liked it. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, I can play this in the background, and I've heard it so many times that it's just kind of high energy background noise, basically. And it just kind of, is that thing that I liked listening to. And I have not seen a recommendation for that kind of music, for that kind of like that popular of a release. It's nowhere. It's like it doesn't fucking exist. But this one music video by this one artist that I watched 2 or 3 times is constantly coming back up. So I know that I watched Despacito on YouTube, not on listenonrepeat.com, but like Despacito, the original video, probably 15, 20 times on YouTube Native. And it's nowhere. But Papa Ote by Stromae, I've listened to that one maybe 5 or 6 times, in the past couple of months, and I can't get rid of those recommendations. But Despacito is nowhere, and I don't get it.
That's like, oh, this is your favorite video. She's seen it enough. Let's get her something new. All right, take out the old toy, put in the new toy. I want to just turn back time for a second. As were you talking about the League of Legends KDA pop stars? Chimaera posted that.
He was talking about Rise.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I know
insane.
I know nothing about League, KDA. But we listened to pop stars at one point for like a month straight in this entire household, and man, let me tell you, that's a good fucking song. That's a real animation and everything is great with it.
Watch here. I'll link Rise to you. Oh, awesome. Man,
Chimaera.
Watch that video. That video is fucking insane, and it's kind of become my personal anthem just because of some things that I've been going through in my personal life.
Sure.
It is a really, really, really powerful song.
Y'all have to check it out after the podcast.
Yes.
Stuff, man. Oh,
that actually reminds me of something. This is a question that I wished I had asked you guys for the last time that I was on the podcast, and now I'm really curious about your answer. And it's kind of a random question, but if you could go into time, back in time, and find any person, living or dead, and live one day in that person's life, and you can choose the day if you want to, who would it be and what day would it be?
Live in their life, not with them.
Yeah,
like you are them.
You would be able to experience what they experienced or be that person on that day. I know what Gelf's is because it's actually the same as mine, or it used to be.
What was mine? Because I was thinking of something completely different.
Oh, now I'm curious.
Now you've got a fresh answer. Reset the clock.
Yeah, exactly.
What was my old answer?
Well, the old answer is the same. Was the same as mine. I would love to go back and be Neil Armstrong the day that he stepped onto the moon. That would be, my God, what an incredible.
All right, let's coordinate. You be Neil Armstrong. I'll be Buzz Aldrin. You can be the first guy to step on the moon. I'll be the first guy to pee on the moon.
I mean, if it hits, I mean, strong enough stream, you might just shoot yourself off the planet. So.
I'm pretty
Other
sure
than
they
that,
have
I'm
this
fine.
wonderful
Use it as
invention
a
called
thruster.
diapers.
You know he was wearing a suit, right?
No, he's running
That's a
around naked on
powerful
what he just
thrust. That's
popped
what
his
I'm
spot.
saying.
I was about to say, it's like if you can just like laser beam through your suit with that kind of stream, you've got a superpower.
Yeah,
Yikes.
no, that's a Kryptonian problem. That's not a Buzz problem.
I don't have an answer for this because I don't want to live as somebody else. I really don't. Like, it's cool to see people have their moments, but I don't think I would want to like have their point of view and relive them because that's their thing. I would rather do it myself. It's weird. That's a weird thought.
Yeah, it's different to like say like what point in history would you like to witness, or what historical
Like,
event would you like to witness,
if
rather than being that person.
yeah,
It's a
if I could,
different
that's
equation.
that's why I asked if you're with them rather than being them, because if you're like, that's with me, like, yeah, it's yeah, me and fucking Buzz Aldrin went up to fucking space, no big deal, cool, like, you know, that would be cool. Like, if yeah, if you were
Yeah, that
attached,
would
I
be very
would
cool.
oh, it would have to be like if I were there hanging out with them for a day, I would probably pick like an early day Metallica concert, like on the edge, right before the Black Album, I would say.
That'd be
Oh,
cool.
that would be fun.
Right before they just explode into this fucking crazy shit, you know. I don't know. That's a tough one to really condense down into in a few minutes. Man, the other night I had this shower thought last podcast and it fucking threw everyone for a loop. And then after the concert, I had another one and I told myself, "Oh, I'll remember it in the morning," and I fucking didn't. And it was
Hold on, real
bizarre.
quick.
Go
Chimaera,
ahead.
what was yours, Chimaera?
Actually, before you said it, I was trying to think of one, and I'm also on the Armstrong train, but because I'm trying, because it's weird, like, you know, one singular point of view, one singular like event or one day, and beyond that, I'm trying to think of something that pivotal that would make sense to throw out there, but that would
Yeah,
definitely
it's
be
Well,
a
on the
hard
short
one
list.
to it's a
well,
it's a
It's
hard
hard one
one
to top.
to narrow down.
well, here, Az can be Neil Armstrong, I'll be Buzz Aldrin, you be Michael Collins. We'll all be in the
Figures.
command module together. It'll be
Fucking
great.
figures.
You know, it would be kind of weird. But so one of the big major events is actually space NASA related anyway. Um the Challenger explosion. You know, when the Challenger went up and it was not, obviously it was not good. Um it
That is
would
one way to
be
describe it, yes.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to have been there to see I'd want to see the difference between um the first successful orbital launch and then also see like in the command center, but also see the Challenger disaster and just be there in those rooms, at the highest of success, at the lowest of defeat, and then I, I don't know. I think it'd be amazing to be able to see those moments, So if I could create like a historical playlist of events that I would want to be present for, I think that those three would be there definitely. But especially, and it sounds kind of weird, it sounds kind of morbid, but I would want to
Yeah.
see the faces of the people in the command center when the Challenger disaster happened.
Along those lines, and not to get too far down the rabbit hole on it, um, there's an episode of From the Earth to the Moon that kind of deals with this after the Apollo 1 fire. Um, one of the characters is played by, um, I'm going to fucking space on his name. Anyway, while I look that up, he keeps saying, I wish I was there. Like, I wish I had been there. I wish I had been there. And by the end of it, he's, someone, he finally talks to someone who's like, hey, you're okay. It's like, no, 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 no. You don't understand. I don't wish I was dead. I wish I was there, because his role, um, in the Apollo testing was he was, as part of the capsule testing, he was directly underneath where the astronauts sat. So he was lying across the floor. And so he would have seen the spark that triggered the
Oh.
fire.
Yeah.
And so that's, that's just a really interesting, way to think about stuff. Kevin Pollock. Kevin Pollock. It's a character he plays
Oh,
in one of
yeah.
the early episodes from the Earth to the Moon. That's I think it was 1998, 1999, done for HBO. Tom Hanks produced. Really good miniseries on the Apollo program.
And it's interesting to think, like, if you could go back in time and affect something,
Yeah,
like, that's huge, dude. That's like, if you know it's coming, you know it's gonna happen, would you be able to prevent it? And then what would
exactly.
come of that later, you know?
And if you
Um,
did, what would you do it?
Hmm.
yeah. Like,
That's oh,
Anne Frank, when I was a kid, I read Anne Frank's diary and I thought, man, if I had been there, maybe I could have stopped them from finding them, or stop them from, da da. And as terrible as it sounds, Anne Frank's story is so pivotal to understanding, what happened in that era and things like Anne Frank, Corey Ten Boom, Elie Wiesel, all their stories are essential to understanding that event, the Holocaust event. And like when I was young, I thought, oh, well, if only I'd been there, maybe I could have saved her, if I'd only been there. But then I don't know, it sounds really bad to say, and I don't want to come off like it's a good thing because it's not. But there are some things, like some moments in history, like if you could change them, would you? With
Yeah.
the
Well, it's the whole
Challenger
Right.
butterfly
mission,
effect, right?
yeah.
well,
The Challenger though, I would definitely change that. 100%.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's yeah.
completely agree.
here's my weird view on it. Because Tiffany and I talk about shit like this all the time, where not so much big events, but it's like, hey, because Tiffany and I have been through just a fucking shitload of just garbage in our life. And
Mm.
she asked me the other day. Well, I mean, she just we just touch on this conversation every now and then because we just like to hear the answer, or it's just one of those things. Would you go back in time and like fix your younger self or prevent them from doing something that would lead to something bad? And ultimately, in this, this is gonna go down to some cheesy fucking road, but I told her no because I like the outcome as is right now. And
Right.
see, that's the thing with like, especially with like giant events, like it could trigger something. Like, when she asked me, like, even now, people would be like, well, where do you see yourself in even a year? I have no idea. I've had so many twists and turns in my life. I have zero fucking idea. I told Tiffany if I didn't meet her, I have no idea where I would be. I have zero
Yeah.
fucking clue. So, I mean,
Yeah,
changing something on a grand scale, I mean, that could just, I, it literally could mean everything. So,
Yeah. Well, like to that end, like you would change the Challenger, the events of the Challenger, and as a personal event, as like, oh, we don't want to have a disaster. That makes sense, but ultimately that led to the understanding of, oh, here's the problem in the design. So if it
right.
didn't happen
Yeah.
then, it would have happened later with a different crew.
right.
Because they were also trying to accelerate. The whole point of the shuttle program was to accelerate the tempo and get them faster and get them up there more often. They were never able to get that. They were never ever to reach that economy of scale and bring the cargo price down. But you know, it would
Well,
have
I mean,
happened to someone else.
if you're able to prevent it in the same way that you were talking about earlier, what was it, Kevin Pollock?
Yeah,
Like if he was there and he saw the spark, but was able to learn the lesson without the loss of life, you know?
sure, okay, yeah. So you find the O-ring, the O-ring issue without without the actual flight. You find
Yeah.
it in
Right.
inspection somewhere. Sure.
I have a weird question. So, or like a situation scenario, however. Anyway, so you go back in time, and you're like the day of, right? And you're like, Kevin, my man, hey, uh, you just straight up tell him, I'm from the future. There's something wrong with this shuttle. It's
Yeah.
gonna be, and you tell him it's gonna be this. You need to fix it. How do you think he would react?
Yeah, sure. Hold on, just 1 second. 911 emergency.
Do you think that he would
probably
actually
be
check? Like, if he's like, okay, you're not allowed in here, like you're fucking crazy, leave, and then like it fucking explodes, and then somebody like in the, he's like, yeah, we're about to go up, but yeah, just heads up, there's some weird person saying it's gonna explode or whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna leave. I'll see you guys later, and then like fucking, it goes off, and then people, and then the world changes into this. You go back to your regular time, and then you realize that you've become this mysterious prophet in the future. It's like,
that would
you
be
know,
awesome.
like, oh, who is this hooded
The one
person? But
thing
nobody knows it's you because you weren't there to, present yourself. Or
you just filter into the mentality of the man in black, the men in black or whatever.
no, there you go.
When you go up to him, you wear a black suit, a white shirt, a black tie, black sunglasses. You got your hair slicked back or cut super
Oh my
short. You
god,
have no emotion on your face, and then boom, you're part of the legend, and it's
you would
over.
be
Yep.
you would be the most modern thing in the
Oh
universe
yeah,
at that point.
Have you guys
yeah.
ever
Just
seen these conspiracy theory photos of like modern technology caught on camera from like
yep.
old?
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's one that was supposed to be back in World War II, World War One, and it's a picture of a crowded street in New York City, and there's a guy walking down the street wearing what looks like modern clothes, talking on a cell phone,
It's
or
just
at
a
least
crazy
that's
guy
what
with
it
a
looks like.
rock, and it's just like,
Right, just holding it up to his head and looking like
yep.
he's having a happy conversation. He
That's
was
what
There's
arrested.
that
He was
that oh,
arrested 2 blocks down the road.
that's what the shower thought was for last podcast. As in Chimera, it was what if time travel or time travel what if time travel does exist but we're the forbidden timeline? That would be
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an interesting concept. So, forbidden timeline. What do you mean?
like time travel does exist, but you're not allowed to travel to this specific timeline. Like we're the one timeline that's just it's like it's a big no. The time police are gonna come arrest you. And
Oh,
then
Jean-Claude Van Damme just busts in my front door like, nah, oh shit. No.
I
That
thought that
would
would be
be
pretty cool.
really, really interesting. I like.
And like since we can't figure out time travel because there's like this opposing force that won't let us continue and like actually make it happen because it's like this timeline should never interact with other timelines, it's too dangerous, blah blah blah, and we're like the
We
worst
can't
of the
soil
worst.
the. Yeah.
Right, yeah, like all the other timelines are like a utopia and we're the darkest timeline.
Oh man.
I fucked
there's
everyone up
I
on
think
that.
there's a hotline that you can call, that you might want to call. But
there's a short story by Ursula K. Le Guin called "Those Who Walk Away from Omelas," and that idea reminds me of that. Is the whole idea of like you can have this perfect world and all of these perfect timelines, but one of those timelines, one of those people has to suffer their entire life, and you can't. It's in
How
those who
did they
walk
get
away
the
from
rights to my
Omelas.
story? What the hell?
Right. But this was written like years ago. Calm down. Now the
No worse, they already
story
knew what was going to
is
happen. They predicted it.
when they
Continue,
come
please.
of age, they're told what the secret of their utopia is, and they can choose to walk away from the city and not condone it, or you can take it. You can stay in the city and take advantage of it. And that to me is like that whole we're the forbidden timeline. We're the kid locked in the dungeon, unhappy and just miserable all the time, never grew up to, never learned to read, write, never don't understand what's going on around them. But all the other timelines are like, hey, as long as you suffer, we're good. You know? That's
Right.
that's what that's what
It's
I'm
like
thinking now.
a train, is on a split track. Kill 50 people or kill one person. It's like, sorry,
Have
universe.
any of you guys heard of? I I I am hoping I'm pronouncing this name properly. I think it's
Oh, I might have.
Jonan Vasquez. He's the one
Vasquez?
who Jonan Vasquez, or it might be Yonan. He was the author of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, Invader Zim,
Oh, neat.
Squee, I Feel Sick. Really, really disturbing stuff. But the story of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was this comic book that he wrote, what follows basically that design. He ends up dying and going to hell, and the devil explains to him that like he can't actually be killed. Like he's being sent back to Earth. And he's going, why? He's been this guy's a murderer. He kills everybody for no real reason, and he never seems to get caught. Like the police never find him, and he can't understand why. And he ends up talking to the devil, and the devil explains to him that he's like a receptacle. So all of these evil thoughts that human beings have, and all of the dark urges, like somebody cuts you off in traffic, and you're like, motherfucker, I want to just hit him in the face. One of
I
those
want to
things.
kill. Oh, I must kill
Exactly.
one
It's
of
like,
us.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He was like, every time somebody feels one of those thoughts, instead of acting on it, that is sent to you, and your job is to act those things out so that
Oh
no one
my
else has to.
god.
So that's what
Wow.
Yikes.
this guy does.
Whoops.
Yeah, it is a messed up series. I mean, this is one of the meanwhiles that happens in between scenes in the comic book is Johnny sitting there in his chair, and he's just staring at the wall, and then all of a sudden he gets an idea, and he stands up and he runs into his office, and he grabs a piece of paper and writes something down on it, and then he grabs a bow and arrow and goes tearing ass out his front door, and runs up to the top of this hill that's overlooking the city that he lives in. He sticks the arrow through the piece of paper and just shoots it like randomly into the city. And it goes flying over the streets, and it hits this dude in the back and just kills him dead, like random guy. And he falls over and lands on his face, and he's got this arrow sticking out of his head. And the last panel of the meanwhile is it shows what's written on the paper, and it says "kick me." Like it's ridiculous. This guy is a
Oh my god.
messed up individual.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Yikes.
really morbidly creative. That was the source material that inspired Invader Zim. If you've ever seen that comic or the
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that show.
Like
Um,
if you were to take a piece of technology back to any point in time, what do you think would be the most revolutionary? Because I mean, like you think like, oh, I'd bring a cell phone, things
solar
like that. But
panels.
you don't. Well, the thing is with like if you went back to medieval times and you had your
Solar
cell phone or
panels.
whatever, where would you go with it though? Where would you take it? What time would you take it?
Oh, what if you took the solar panels and you were like, yo, Tesla, my man, look at these. And, he doesn't understand what the fuck you're saying. So you're just like, you just kind of hook it up. And you're like, okay,
Yo,
there you go. Check it
bruh,
out.
I
And
got an
it
idea.
blows his mind. And then, you travel back into your present day and, look at that. We still use coal.
All of a sudden, Greta Thunberg is a teacher or something instead of a global activist. She
Right.
doesn't have to grow up too early, and I don't know. I think it'd be interesting, like to take something small. Like, I mean, the problem is the technology inside it has been so miniaturized it would be uncomprehendable. But something as simple as a key charger, a charger, the wireless charger that they use for like pixels and stuff like that. Like wireless charging is something that Tesla was working on, ways to send electricity, power through the air and just wirelessly charge everything so you don't have to
Right.
plug something into the wall.
Hmm.
The problem is like I'd love to take a wireless charger back, but if I handed it to him, he'd be like, "What's this? A hockey puck? A cookie? I don't know. What is this?" But it's like, how do you introduce, I can't just hold it out to him and be like, this is the culmination of your ideas, blah, 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 because there's no way I could hand it to him and have him understand it. It's the same thing as bringing a cell phone back to the King Arthur days, Connecticut King and King Arthur's Court. If you guys ever saw that movie when you were a kid,
Fantastic
ooh,
movie. I
just
love
hated
that.
the fuck out of myself. Anyway.
So that kind of makes me think, because even now, like right now, I'm gonna future Brandon. I know it's been 10 years, bud. I know it's been a minute. I'm a little stupid. I, there's a, who would have thought when all of us were kids that there was going to be a fucking device that just fits in your hand that you can touch. You have the whole world to interact with. Like, there's technology that could still form in our lifetime that we just can't even fathom until it comes out. And then you're like, oh, like, it's that easy. Wow.
Well, I
who
knew
would've
it was
thought?
going to come. I knew we were going to have cell phones back when I was a kid because
Dude.
I watched Star Trek.
No, okay. So
that I agree. I agree.
Okay. So I was in a McDonald's when I was younger, and I was like 9. So let's see, we were probably pushing it around the year 2000. And yeah, I know, yikes. And so anyway, we're in McDonald's, and they just came out with like the touchscreen screens for, like, you know, ordering and shit. And that I was like, you know, because I had like a shitty, you know, we had like Motorola Razors and, you know, all that flippy phone crap. And I was like, how cool would it be to have a device that you could like touch, like my cell phone, like that? And then like a year or two later, Apple was like, hey, we got the first, iPad, whatever, fucking, I don't
iPod Touch.
Well, yeah, the iPod Touch or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's fucking
Even just
neat.
the iPod Classic was revolutionary because it was that haptic feedback touch,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
roll your finger around it thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're already looking at foldable screens. We're looking at 360 phones, for fuck's sake. Did you guys see that thing? It's a
No.
phone that has a screen around every edge.
Yeah.
It's like 180% screen cover. So you get it on the front, you get it on the back, and you get it on the side.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Why?
And it's like a screen protector for that would suck absolute balls.
True.
But I mean, we touched on it with the Samsung Edge, the Galaxy Edge, you know, the whole, hey, I'm gonna lay this on the bedside table, but I still want to be able to see if something comes through, you know, things like that. But now all of a sudden we've got a fucking 360 phone. Just give me a fucking tricorder already, just so I can zap my own body. You know, figure out what's wrong with me. Ah, I have cancer. Cool. Thanks, WebMD. Throw it in the trash. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure our current medical system won't allow you to make that. Because let me tell you, it's a profitable. Never mind.
yeah, all right. So before we get too far into that,
woo, a little too real for everyone. All right.
Right.
We are past an hour, by the way. Just figured I'd let you know, because we were gonna try to keep it to an hour-ish. The past couple episodes have been like an hour 45, and I just want to make sure that we're good. I still have to post it. Today's Sunday.
yeah.
Today is Sunday. All day.
Sunday. We're supposed to record on Friday, and then yeah, that was the day after the concert. Dude, we were so burnt. Our voices were raspy. We felt like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a lot of secondhand smoke, if you know what I'm saying.
Oof. Contact time?
Yep. Which I'm fine with. Totally cool with. It's just, you know, just kind of drains you a little bit next day.
Yeah, Mr. Nephalist over here, you know, can't engage in any activities that would change my perception of the world.
Give me some edibles and I'm totally cool with it. I can't inhale it because it will kill me, Gelf. God damn it.
That seems like a legit.
I want to breathe.
Oh, God. You guys are assholes.
That's
all good. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for listening, everybody. It's been a blast. Thanks you. Oh, my God. Stumbling the fuck out. Thanks, Az and Chimaera, for being on.
The circle is now complete. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
We're getting on a tangent about conspiracy theories, and I'm like, man, I want to just do that all next episode or some shit. Just fucking. We need Cody for it because Cody has so many good ones.
So next time Cody's on, we'll make that a point. We'll have a list of conspiracy theories to cover, and we'll hit it.
Yes, he talked about one recently that fucking I was just so into. Not that I believe them all, but I just love hearing and talking about them because it's just interesting. It makes you think, and I like thinking. So,
point of order, no judgment involved here. Cody catalogs them all, or Cody believes them all?
There you go. He makes them.
Asking you a question.
He's the creator.
I'm
putting it together. That's my conspiracy theory. I think Cody comes up with all of them.
Best to leave the question
unanswered.
unanswered.
Makes him up on his own.
Chimaera, we might need to bring you back for that episode because I really want to hear all of the sighing in the background and get the DMs of "Is he serious?" ? And I'll respond every single time. I don't actually know.
That's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. Anyway, yeah, so you can find us on YouTube and Spotify, youtube.com/console required, bit.ly/
Required podcast.
God, I was gonna say console required podcast. That's for Spotify. All episodes get uploaded at the same time with YouTube, but Spotify usually lags behind because it's not exactly 1-to-1 with upload time. Discord. Link is in the YouTube description. I need to actually get a link, like a solid link for that, so we can kind of get that going. Or I don't know. I don't even know if we have one for it. But yeah, thanks.
Copy and paste an invite. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks to our patrons, Time Jumper and Risu. Appreciate your faces.
You guys are amazing. We love you.
Do we though? It's all a conspiracy.
Yes. Hey, I'm going to be rooming with Risu at PAX South 2020, so yes, I'd better love her. She's gonna kill me if not.
Yeah, that's your Patreon money on the line.
Yeah, right.
You better kiss ass. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Laters.